Well, hello and welcome everyone to the 66th official episode of Eunuch Corner Club. We have a very special guest today, and we're doing something a little new. I'm actually showcasing a content creator that is a real artist, writer, creator, someone who is not really connected to anything else that I do, none of the activism, none of the political stuff I've been connected to, but he creates inspiring, beautiful, wonderful things. And he came to me via a friend, Ardent Party, that many of you know, who's been a friend and moderator of mine for many years. And today I wanted to showcase a very talented man who is passionate about creating fantasy. And to help me showcase this man, I have brought on a surprise co host, good friend of mine and friend of the Cabal, Ginger. Ginger, thank you for being here today to help me co host. How are you doing?
Oh, it's no problem to be here, and I must say I'm doing rather well.
And let's go ahead and bring on our esteemed guest today, Christopher. Christopher, you're live now. Thank you for joining us. How are you doing today, my friend?
Hello, thank you for having me, and I'm doing okay. Could be better, but I will manage with that.
Well, just so everybody knows what we're doing today, Christopher is a man who is a writer primarily, and he has commissioned artists that are of some caliber to create fantastic art for his creative world and stories that he's put together. And he has a plethora of content that we're going to showcase some today. We have great artwork to look at. We're going to be reading passages from some of his works translated to English. And he also has a new project coming up, and we're going to showcase the Kickstarter and take a look at that and talk about the rewards and what might come from that later. But first, we're going to get to know Christopher. So, Christopher, I have only known you for a couple of weeks, really. You reached out to me quite some time ago, but it wasn't until recently we were able to speak. And I really like the cut of your jib and what you're about. So take as much time as you like, 5, 10, even 15 minutes, and tell me, Ginger, and my audience today why you are the man you are today when it comes to a content creator, an artist, a writer, and tell us why you make the things you do and why you're passionate about them.
What a question! Honestly,
Don't worry. Yiz's questions tend to be quite dense. Feel free to
yeah,
just
yeah,
add it
yeah.
as you please.
I do the same because I interview people on my channel too, and now I I understand what it feels like to have interviewing by me. Honestly, it can be categorized into separate into two category. Sorry, my English is not the best ever. I do my best. One, I'm just tired as hell of mediocrity in entertainment today, like the
Mhm.
modern entertainment.
You're not the only
That's
one.
one of the reasons I chose the opening song.
Yeah. um, well, there is still nice things popping up from time to time, but overall, the bar has been quite lower, and that's a euphemism. And so I wanted to do a very nice thing, like I mean, true entertainment, quality stuff. So something that can, I don't pretend that it will, but can, or at least have the potential and the amount of work put it into, not shock the world, but have the ambition to inspire people. For example, when the Dark Knight movie with Heath Ledger came out, there was a before and there was an after this movie, and I
Hmm.
wanted the same kind of effect. So someone who come by to my work and say, "Okay, that's something," that
I
changed
think
the
I
rules a
agree with
bit.
you on that point. I think that great works of fiction can be inspiring and haunting in equal measure, and
Yes.
a truly good work of fiction will leave a mark on someone who is intelligent enough and spiritual enough to appreciate its depth and be moved by it. And in that, I found that the Lord of the Rings movies that came out, they were just as incredible as, or maybe even more so in some ways, as when I read the books as a young person. And I
Mm.
have felt that from certain role playing books I've read. Some of the World of Darkness books I read changed me forever and still haunt me to this day. Certain horror movies I've seen have invoked darknesses and celebrations in me that still live in me today. I'm glad to hear you speak about fiction in such a serious and beautiful way. There needs to be that spirit alive in the fiction that our people create today.
Mm. Well, that's my goal. I will never pretend that I succeed and I'm like the new Baudelaire or I don't know, but that's the ambition, that's the goal, and I hope I will come close to it. I do my
Well,
best about that.
it is certainly a lofty ambition, but one that is absolutely admirable to aspire to.
Indeed.
Thank you.
So let's segue from there and tell me what got you into doing this. We know the why now, but what specifically made you take that first step and become this kind of creator? Was there a singular event or a particular work of fiction that inspired you to become a creator yourself?
Well, that's exactly what I would say of the second part of why I'm doing this stuff today. It's I had a pretty rough upbringing, even life as a whole.
Hmm.
So imaginary universe, for example, I mentioned Batman. For me, was very into Warhammer, for example, Magic the Gathering, video games like Diablo. The first two games, there was never other games of Diablo.
Yeah, I agree. It's a shame they never made a Diablo 3.
Yeah, I waited
I
for
never
it, but
played any of the
yeah.
Diablo games, but I feel like I did miss out on that.
I spent a lot of hours playing 2. It was quite the
Yeah.
experience in the early aughts.
Yeah, and you mentioned that you quite enjoyed Grim Dawn with your special person yourself.
Oh
Yes, and
yes,
yeah,
yeah.
it's
Grim
a
Dawn is my husband's single favorite game, and I have spent dozens of hours playing through all different kinds of character builds with him on Grim Dawn. It's a
yeah.
wonderful game.
To be honest,
Hmm.
it's not on the magnitude level of Diablo 2, but it's still a very nice game. And unfortunately, the environment of gaming today was not very the best place to have a game like that come out in such a modern time, modern era. But
Hmm.
if Grim Dawn came out like 20 years ago, it would have rocked the world to its core, for sure.
Indeed,
And
indeed.
so all
Yeah.
of this fantasy universe, well, they helped me survive, to be honest. In music too, when I jokingly said at the beginning, like, I choose the music, Christopher. Oh, don't get me started. I will annoy everyone. But yeah, music is a very
Uh,
strong part of my life. As I said, extreme metal, but if even like French music, like uh, I don't know, Renaud, Jacques Brel, so many great old French artists. Well, French-speaking artists. There are some Belgian
I
one,
don't
but
think
yeah.
they're French, but one of the metal groups that I've listened to a lot is Sabaton. Do you like Sabaton?
No, too
No,
mainstream for me.
too mainstream for you. Oh, I see.
hmm.
Yeah,
I,
me,
I, I am
I'm
not a music aficionado, so most of the things that I listen to are just links of things that people send me, and I'll listen to them occasionally. And Sabaton is some metal that I've listened to in the last couple of years that I think is
yeah.
pretty good. But again, I do not have a cultivated music taste, so maybe that's a very cringe thing I just said. I don't
No,
know.
no, it's not. It's not. It's not. It's just not my taste. And for people who know a bit of metal, for me, I'm like more like Cannibal Corpse, Burzum, Immortal, Malevolent Creation, Incantation, uh,
Definitely not
Emperor.
things I'm familiar with.
Yeah,
No, same
very
here.
very extreme metal band. And I think the if I had to choose only one band to listen it to eternity would be the band Neurosis, who is not exactly an extreme metal band, but it's so out of this world. It's so it's there's nothing like Neurosis.
Okay. So, when you got into creating your fantasy fiction, for many of us, we played role playing games, we played video games when we were younger, and for me as a creator, when I started creating fantasy fiction back in the '90s, it was because of my love of Lord of the Rings and Dungeons and Dragons. So the lens that I started creating was through creating the lens through I made my creations was to make worlds that I could run games in and that other people could play in. Did that influence you from the beginning, or did you start off wanting to write fiction like novels?
Well, the first ever bit of fiction and bit of writing I did out of pure pleasure, like just for the pleasure and the sake of it,
Mm.
was when I was, I think, 9 or 10.
Oh wow, you
And
started young.
yeah, but it was not so like I did it every day or on a daily basis. I was born what time at school in class actually. I will write something, and so I just wrote something a bit like the Goonies, for example. Even though I never watched the Goonies at that time, I watched the Goonies very very much later. But it was the same thing, like a bit of Indiana Jones vibe to it, like
Oh,
uh,
cool. I love that kind
big
of adventure.
yeah, big giant boulder traps, snakes, Inca, Mayan, Aztec temples,
Very
poison
cool.
darts, monkey, and all, and a bunch of kids exploring the caves.
Oh, that's delightful. And I've seen Goonies as an adult again. I watched it several times when I was young, but a few years ago I rewatched it, and it was just as delightful. I had a great time
Yeah,
watching it.
it's a very wholesome movie.
It is. It's a wholesome, fun movie. Ginger, I assume you've seen it as well.
The Goonies,
Hmm.
surprisingly not. No, I've seen snippets here and there when I've seen other people watching it myself, but I've never actually seen it through.
Well, we
By the
might
way,
watch it together one day then. Maybe I'll host it for Cabal because it is a delightfully fun, wholesome movie.
your
We could even
story a
make it a
moment
spiral
ago,
event.
Christopher, reminds me of a time in the early years of my secondary school time when the English teacher that I had tasked the class with creative writing, writing a short story of about 1,000 words or so, and she was quite frankly horrified when I ended up. Quite frankly, plagiarizing the original script to the Aliens movie, and replacing the xenomorph with an alien slug, and going into detail of all of the gory bits. Um, she was impressed. She gave me an A on that, and
Oh,
she
wonderful.
never realized the link.
Well, I think someone wise once said there are no original ideas left anymore. But
Yeah.
I think that one of the goals that we have as creators is to be inspired by the greats of the past and carry on that legacy of mythical inspiration in new works of fiction. And I assume that that is one of the driving factors that led you to create the works that you have. Yes, Christopher?
Well, I had, as I said, I had the strong ambition of doing something great and awe-inspiring, like a giant, I think, fresque or painting, like Michelangelo, the
Hmm.
chapels.
Oh, yes.
Something that you can gaze upon for hours and hours and still finding new details and stories and connection and all. And I try to be inspired with works of great artists of the past, but still doing my best to do something new because I don't want to do another thing that another person did. I want to do my thing. Like
Okay.
for
Well, before
example,
we look.
I'm
Oh, go
very
ahead. Sorry. Go ahead.
yeah. For example, for me, the magnum opus of human civilization as a story is the manga Berserk, and I'm taking quite a lot of inspiration from this manga. And but still, I want to do my thing. I don't want to copy the work of another man. I want to do my universe, my story, my characters, my
Hmm.
monster, my whatever the fuck.
Hmm. Well,
Hmm.
before we start looking into your work, um, I wanted to ask you a question. Is there a single monster or a single demon or hero or king or story of legend that stands out to you as an inspirational figure or inspirational bad guy?
You mean like historical figure, like real person?
Either historical or fantasy. I was thinking fiction, but
Oh,
it could be something real as well.
well, it would be tough to choose only one.
Hmm.
um, Well, if you if
Pulling
you-
inspiration from many sources is always a good thing.
if you may, I will choose one from is real history and one from fiction. Is it
Sure,
okay?
sure.
So for real history, I would choose Alexander the Great.
Good choice.
Just
Good
so
choice.
many stuff to say and to read about this one. I could have picked Genghis Khan too, but Alexander the Great, it's just a mix of sadness and greatness rolled into one. It's there is so much to explore and learn about him. The second one for fictional influence would be the oh fuck! I picked one and then I said, oh, there is one too. Well, I already mentioned Berserk, so I will not pick Guts, the hero of the manga. So I will choose Marl from Sin City, which I did a YouTube video about it not so long ago. So maybe we will talk a bit more
Okay.
about him. But yeah, he's a very very strong character. Like it's how to say that in English. He's just a big brute, like a mountain of muscle who drink and smoke and beat everyone up, but he's still a kind soul at heart. It's just don't be a dick to him, and everything will be okay.
um, Speaking of Alexander the Great, that reminds me of something that I love. I really appreciate the cartoon anime mix style of Peter Chung, and I first really fell in love with a unique kind of storytelling through visual medium through the Aeon Flux cartoons, and that led me to love Reign the Conqueror. Now, Reign the Conqueror, I believe, originally was a manga, and I don't know who made it in Japan, but there was
Huh.
a re envisioning of that manga for Adult Swim, and it was a Peter Chung cartoon, and it was called Reign the Conqueror, and it was it probably still is in my top 3 or 4 favorite cartoons of any kind that I've ever seen. Have you seen Reign the Conqueror?
I
I haven't.
yeah, me neither. I never thought this existed. Never heard the name, unfortunately.
Well, I tell you what,
Hmm.
when we're off stream, we'll have a look at it together, and you can
Okay.
have a look at it. Well, I'm sure that at least a torrent of it exists somewhere, but it might even be available for live viewing somewhere. I'm not sure. But let's go ahead and move
I
on and
can.
talk. Go ahead.
I know of a site that we can almost certainly find it on if it's animated.
It
Um,
is.
that definitely sounds like something that would get a lot of attention if you decided to do a public viewing over in the Cabal years. I'd
Well, then I
recommend
think
that.
I'll do that then because that's one of my favorite cartoons ever made, and I think it's just amazing. So we'll do a showing of that at some point. But let's focus on Christopher today then. So Christopher,
Hmm.
if you would like, sir, we're going to go ahead and move to talk
Yep.
about your work and start showcasing some of the things that we have today. And we're going to start with your. Give me just a moment to embiggen. Embiggen. Here we go. We are going to do your YouTube channel. Now, just earlier in the chat, I shared his YouTube channel, and I'm going to share it again. Here's the link for everyone. I highly recommend you subscribe and listen to some of his works. However, I believe most of your content is in French, correct?
Yes. Unfortunately, I speak the Hon Baguette language.
Well, are you planning on doing anything in English on your channel?
Well, if you watch closely, there is some flag.
Oh, I
Yes, I
see
did spot
that.
those.
Oh, I spot that now. Yes, very good.
Do I hear a
So,
cat?
yeah, that's my cat.
Kitty.
Oh, you have a cat. Very lovely.
Yeah, her name is Socks. Well, Chaussette, but in English you can translate it by Socks.
Oh,
Uh,
that's
it's
cute.
a
Very
it's
nice.
inspired by the movie Dance with Wolves with Kevin Costner.
Oh, that's a cute movie. I saw that a long time ago. I
Yeah,
don't know if I would
very
still
nice
like it,
movie.
but I remember thinking it was pleasant when I saw it back when it came out.
Well,
Um,
I very much enjoy Indian American culture, so this movie was very nice.
oh yes, Indian stuff is very cool here too. I lived in the Southwest and got to speak to many interesting Navajo and Zuni people who
Mm.
still kept their tribal traditions alive, and it was very interesting listening to some of their stories. And there's a reserve museum of the Navajo that I got to visit in New Mexico, and it was quite interesting, the things that I witnessed there. But that's a story for another time. So, with that being said, on your if there's one video or one link that you would invite English speakers to see, would you want it to be the Demon Warriors? Is that what you would want them to start with?
I think there is another one which is better for people who know a bit more about my work, because as I always say, YouTube is just a second thing for me, just for
Right.
spurging around on the internet and doing funny bits, and you can see that I have quite a bit of fun with my thumbnails, for example.
Definitely. Your
Are you
thumbnails are
the
fun.
man with the mighty beard in some of these thumbnails?
Yes, this is me.
You should be proud of that beard. That is a very
Yes.
mighty
Yes,
beard.
I am.
He has an epic beard. For those of you who are beard appreciators, he is quite the legend.
There is a video with a bunch of hearts on the thumbnail that explained the project of the Kickstarter, but it's more like my dream as a whole, as a career, because I just want to produce stories. I want to write. I want to share my universe. I want to have nice books in people's bookshelf and everything like that. So I think you have to scroll down a bit, and there is like a Kickstarter announcement or something, and art book Kickstarter in English with the hearts.
Oh, here. Okay. This here that I
On
have
left.
highlighted? This. Oh. Okay. Here we go. So, art book Kickstarter. Very good. So, this is the link that I will grab. Copy link. Where is it? There we go.
And so from my YouTube channel, I do mostly French content, but there is some English content. There is some video, but also quite a bit of live stream, because sometimes I like to interview people. For example, I'm chasing you for like months to, can I interview you? Yes, please. And
No, I will definitely visit you on your channel, and if
yeah.
you participate in the Cabal, which is the online community that Ginger and I participate in, you'll meet people that are interested in the things you're interested in, and they'll be glad to speak with you and help you make connections as well.
Yeah,
and I would love to help you make connections and branch out and get your work to other people, and hopefully find someone who'll be willing to help you translate your work to English and other language that won't cost you thousands of dollars.
Oh yeah, that's the thing. So yeah, I have every person I need in my close entourage. Professional speaking, like a drawer, corrector, translator, and everything. But yeah, it costs a bit.
It sure does.
And since we just for finish, because you mentioned the Cabal, and I'm subscribed to quite a bit of Discord server. But the thing is, if you speak French, you would have spotted I have Asperger's syndrome, so it's a form of autism, and social stuff are not my strong suit.
Well, that is exactly why I invited you to the Cabal, is because I did notice that you are of the autistic variety.
Yeah.
And Cabal is a home for ADHD and autism, and most of us there have it, either one or both of those.
Okay.
Yeah,
what you saying is not an exaggeration. I know most of the people who are active users there, and I can think of maybe one person who does not have either ADHD or autism to some extent.
Well,
and this is on a server with thousands of users.
Yeah,
it's home of the tism.
Yes, very much so.
I try my best to socialize and integrate with other community, but yeah, it is not always successful, unfortunately. I try, but yeah.
Well, before we move on, we have a little bit of community engagement over on Entropy. Longtime friend and supporter of the channel is Kizza GT. He also comes on my streams a lot. And Kizza, for $5 over on Entropy, says, speaking of Michelangelo, if he's so great, what happened to the other 15 chapels? Anyone who gets this joke, you're a legend. I don't get the joke. Someone will have to clue me in. Do either of you get it?
Unfortunately, no.
Well, Kizza, you don't have to send more money, but if you type in the question widget the explanation of the joke, I will definitely speak about it on stream so everybody can get it too. All right. Well, while he does that, I'm going to make sure that we're not missing anyone else. I'm going to refresh PayPal, Cash App, and Subscribe Star, and see if there's anything else people have to say with their dollars. And then we'll move on and talk about something else that relates to dollars, which is your Kickstarter after this.
Oh yeah, he explained the joke. Chapelle 16.
Uh,
So 16 chapels.
Animaniacs. Oh, right. No, I watched the Animaniacs back in the 90s when it came out, and it was quite funny. I remember liking it when I was a youngster, but I've not watched it since. All right. Okay, it seems we don't have any other community engagement at the moment. And however, there is something that Kiza shared. It is the video source for his joke. Would you like to watch it on stream or just move on? I'll leave it up to you, Christopher.
Oh, you can. Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, then we'll have a fun watch of that right now. Then, courtesy Kiza. Let me go ahead and get that fired up here. Oh wait, no, I'm not going to do that because that's Warner Brothers, and they are ridiculously litigious with their copy claims, and I don't want the stream to be taken down. I'm glad I remembered that. Sorry, Kiza.
Nice reflex.
I'll have to watch that on my own time. I'm glad I remembered that and didn't get the stream tanked. That would be sad. Okay, well, let's go ahead and move on. Speaking of money, you have had successful Kickstarters before, yes?
Yeah, it was not on the website Kickstarter. It was the French version, so to say.
Oh.
But yeah, I did 2 crowdfunding on a French website called Ulule. Sorry, and yeah, it was for. It was not the same amount as I'm doing for this Kickstarter project I'm having in December. So I can send you a link if you want for my previous crowdfunding. But the idea was I was just funding the production of the books, so the novel themselves, and so it was around 2,500 euros or 3,000 euros, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And this art book project is significantly higher.
So, what is it, like 10,000, 20,000?
Oh no. For my last estimation, I didn't have all the answer from my how to say that, organism or institution that help declare my revenue, but yes, normally it will be something like 35,000 euros.
Oh wow. Okay, that's a big project. Well, I hope you can hit your goal because the work is exquisite that I've sampled so far.
Oh, by the way, there is a thing you missed, and I will send it to you on Discord.
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
Is it something you'd like me to pop up now or
no, not now, but later. You will understand when you will see it.
Okay, sure. And as you can see, this is his current Kickstarter page, and that's why I chose the artwork I did for the thumbnail of the stream, because that is absolutely breathtaking artwork. I really love it. Now, this art book, I assume that the money is because you employ top quality artists, and also it's not cheap to make quality art books. So yes. I assume a bulk of this money will be to employ high quality artists to bring your vision to life, so to speak.
Well, there is no other use for that money. I will not take everything in my pocket. Well, I still count like just in case money, if you know what I mean. If something happens, so you know, a delivery of books,
the emergency fund.
Yes, something like that. Or shit button, as I say in French also.
Of course.
But yeah, outside of that, I don't plan. Well, maybe I just count a bit bigger, you know, like estimation, and well, just around, but the higher estimation, just to make sure. But there is no other use for that money. So,
well, no, I didn't ask it for that purpose. I asked because I didn't know if there were other elements to this Kickstarter. I didn't know if there was going to be any kind of I don't know, a collectible or someone else you were seeking to employ, that kind of thing. I didn't know if you had stretch goals in mind.
Oh yes, I have stretch goal, but it's just to make the book better. For example, you know, like reflective cover, you know, like metal stuff. I don't know the name in English. I'm sorry, but engraving, something like that.
Yes, the words they use in English for that are either embossed, chrome, holographic. There's a lot of different words that came about from magazines
Yeah.
and comic books in the last 40 years. And I don't know the correct term to say because I haven't been into comics and gaming collection since the 90s. So I don't know a lot about it currently.
There is also like if we reach a certain goal, like we have some more pages to the book, and just recently, like 1 or 2 days before, I just make sure that if there is like a lot of money, like I kill everything in in funding and all. The first novel will be translated from French to English.
Okay.
But it's only if if I have like 42,000 euros, something like that.
Okay. Well, hopefully you can meet those goals. And since you've already had successful work, I really hope that this comes to fruition and you get to continue to grow. So, speaking of your
So do I.
speaking of your successful works, before we get started looking at some of the artwork you've commissioned, and before we get you to talk about your writings and the creatures and people within it, Ginger and I would like to do some reading from the things that have been translated to English. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring up a couple of the things. Let's see. Let me check the page. Here it is. We're going to bring up this first. Here we go. And from this is the work that yes, this is translated to English.
Yes.
Ginger, do you
Because,
have access to this? Would you like to read this for us?
Just to make sure, if
I
I
have it
may,
up here.
the art book will be available in French and English.
Okay, excellent, excellent.
Well, and
I
is
was
that
going
going to be
I
as
was
two
going to back
separate
your project,
editions?
but I
Or?
found out that it's not live yet, and also I found out that I'm not logged in, and I haven't used Kickstarter in like 5 years, so I'm probably going to have to go back to the drawing board and to figure out if I can even access my old Kickstarter account. But I will back your project,
Well, thank you very much.
and I encourage
I'm
all
very
the listeners
touched.
to do the
For you,
same if they
Christopher.
are interested in such a thing. Please help support people who create quality fiction. It's very important.
Christopher, you mentioned that your book is going to be available in both English and French. Is
The
that
art
going
book,
to
yes.
be a single book which contains, with each book containing both the English and French versions? Or is there going to be an English edition and a French edition?
No, it would be 2 different books. Like there is a French one, the English one. The content will be exactly the
Right.
same, just translated.
Very nice. Very nice. Right. Well, I have this The Tree Thajali, or Thajil, I think that's pronounced.
Yeah,
Thajil,
Tajil.
right. Excellent. Well, I have this up here if you'd like me to go ahead and read through it. I must apologize in advance for mispronunciations of words of your creation.
Yeah.
For example, Tajil is I'll go ahead and get started here.
All right.
The tree Tajil grows in the heart of the Malthieu forest. A giant in size with an enormous trunk, it rises above the forest. Its leaves and branches sweep the floor softly. It stands at the center of a sanctuary that only a few chosen ones may enter. The Fae, guardians of the tree, stand watch to prevent anyone from slipping in. This sacred, secret place is also magical, so much so that you might wonder at its very existence in such a cruel world, amidst a dark forest full of great predators. Except for the creator of this world. Only the Fae and the deer are allowed inside. What is this tree for? Why is it so important? Why do the Fae watch over this place with so much attention and care? No one knows but a few enlightened ones. The Fae also watch over the deer, some of which are marked with a sign of significance. As dark as their fate may be, it is needed in order for the tree to live, as it feeds on their dead bodies through its roots. According to Tohua, one of the very few to have walked close to this place and survived an encounter with the Fae, this tree is the heart of the world. Within it lay both a mystery and an answer to the great questions of this universe.
Well, that's magnificent. I love that. Excellent stuff.
Mm. And the
And I, of
artwork is
course, have not
truly
sampled all of
beautiful.
his work, but I've looked at all of the visuals I can find. I've thumbed through a couple of his videos, and I've read what I can translate to English, and it is quality work. And speaking of quality work, we're going to open up this now. This is the thing that we're going to read as well.
May I
Let's see.
suggest just a drawing to show? Because at the end,
Certainly.
I almost forgot that I mentioned Torwa, which is a very important character. And
Certainly.
I will just give you another thing on Discord.
Oh, sure.
Yeah. And yes, this place, this environment is, well, it's the environment, and this is one of the few things that I cut the books into. For example, there is every region, and in every region I will explain like this creature, this people, this race, this yada yada. And this special place in the world have, like, as I said, as I mentioned in the writing, the deer, the fae, and Torwa, for example, which is the great spider you see now. Yeah, they are described in the book also.
Okay. So I'm going to zoom in some here so we can see better. This is a high quality art piece. Oops.
Yeah,
It
There we
really
go.
is.
every novel has black and white drawing in it. For the first book, it's something like 15 art pieces. For the fourth book, we are, I think, close to 30.
Oh, wonderful. Wonderful.
Wow.
This is great.
And so
And
this
do
is a
you
scene
source all
when
of this from the do you source all of this from the same artist, or do you work with multiple different people?
I try to work with only one person, but unfortunately, life is life, and sometimes people are not able to work anymore in set project or with this person for X or Y reason. For the first book, this is a Swiss girl I met, and unfortunately, she wasn't able to continue working on my project because she had health issues. And after the first book she did for me, like I think it was 12 art piece I commissioned. And she said, well, it's too much for me. I prefer focus on one painting, one commission, but one at a time, not a big chunk of stuff to do.
Okay.
Yes, I can understand that.
Yeah,
12
we are still
separate
in contact
commissions
and
is
all, but yeah.
yeah, that
Well,
is
this is
quite the commitment for an artist.
yes, especially when it's quality art like this. I mean, this could take weeks or months for for artists to make. Um, is there anything in particular you want to talk about in the imagery or the characters here before we move on?
Well, one thing I found very funny, but it was not planned, but it was something I imagine that maybe would surprise people, but everyone fell for it. It's like everyone in this picture said, "Oh, this is a big bad spider." Well, read the books to know. That's all I would say.
Okay, excellent. Okay, well, we're going to move on then. Excuse me.
Yeah, sorry for interruption, but
Oh no, that's okay.
I imagine it was a nice touch in the context to show.
Certainly. Well, what we're going to do now is
And
we're going to move to the warrior demon. Go ahead, Ginger. What were you going to say?
I was just going to ask the character name that I mentioned when reading out
Yeah,
the previous description, was that the name of the giant spider demon?
yeah, that's the giant spider.
Right. Okay.
Her name is Torwa, and she is one of the most recurring character in the novel series.
I'm guessing that this Talwa is some form of ancient god of some kind.
I will not answer for not spoiling the story for people who
Spoilers.
will. Yeah,
That's fair.
it's a very hard
Thank you for
thing for
answering the
myself.
question.
It's a very hard thing for me to speak about my books because there is so many spoiler stuff I need to avoid, and
Oh, I understand that. I'm a storyteller as well, and I hate giving away my plots and my secrets if I don't have to.
mm,
So this is the artwork for the warrior demon, and it looks similar in style to the black and white that we just looked at. Is this the same artist?
no, it's not.
Mm.
But as you put it, I try to have even if it's a different person who do art piece for my universe. I strongly emphasize on everyone who I work with to this is the feel of the universe, the feel of the visual I want. This is the feel of the writing, the prose, the whatever. So I one person, I don't remember who, said, "Yeah, you are the writer, but in a way, you are also the art director." And then I thought something like, "Yeah,
No,
that
Hmm.
that has a
that's
nice
why.
ring to it."
Indeed, that is one of the reasons why I didn't just call you a writer. You are a creator. You're a writer and some kind of artist, and your vision is very evident in the artwork, and like especially in the face of this thing. Like I can tell that you had creative input on what this thing is supposed to look like and what I'm supposed to
Yeah.
feel when I see it. It rings true, and that's one of the things I like the most about this kind of thing, honestly. So I'm going
Well,
to
when I work with a drawer, I give a bunch of description like lines in the book, pages and stuff. I
mhm.
give
Hmm.
visual how to say that reference, yeah, the reference. So I want this kind of look, or the tail is nice on this drawer, or the horn I like better on this one than this one, but you can use it for another design, blah 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 blah. And
Mm,
Oh
at
yeah.
the end of the day,
I
the artists compile everything, do a bit of sketching, angle view, the overall design. Or I had an idea for the weapon of this guy and this guy, and then I agree or give, yeah, I prefer my idea or something similar, and then yeah, the collaboration goes on.
I can tell that
okay.
you're the kind of client that artists like to work with.
Apparently, yes, to my
Hmm.
surprise.
Yeah, I've
No,
I've uh, I've commissioned a few bits and pieces from artists in the past, and I found that artists absolutely love it when you can give nice and properly detailed descriptions with reference pieces as giving visual representation as to precisely what you're
Mm.
trying to describe, so that they can take all of the bits and pieces together that you've provided them and then combine it into a final piece. And it's a very back and forth process.
Yes, it's a dance.
Yeah, with when the commissioner and the artist are able to continuously go back and forth on an idea, it truly produces some of the most excellent pieces of artwork, as is demonstrated
absolutely.
by the pieces that you've been able to show to us today here.
Hmm.
Thank you again.
If I can find it, I would like to share with you, since it almost never comes up on my channel, the little avatar that I use. Her name is Firsha, and Firsha is an old tragic character. She's the white-haired, fanged, green, jealous, green-eyed little avatar that I use. That's
Mm.
actually original artwork of mine that I made many years ago, maybe 15, 16 years ago. And then in the late aughts, around 2010, uh, when my husband started teaching me how to do visual artwork stuff with the computer, I updated it from all the drawings and paintings I had. And if I still have pictures of the original artwork, I would very much like to showcase that and show you guys the original artwork of this character. Hmm, if I have it, I don't know if I have it on my work
Yeah,
computer.
it's quite funny about your avatar, as you say, because um, when I watch your video, like the morning walk and
Uh
some
huh.
live stream or the camping trip you did, it's your avatar is a bit more aggressive, or there is not the same eye or glance or something like that. There is something to the to your eyes and the eyes of the avatar, and it's not the same person, but I'm sure there is something I'm missing in the story or something.
Well,
Because you are very
tragically,
sweet speaking and all, and the character looks like more like a vampire than a human.
yeah. Tragically, I don't think I have the original artwork on my work computer, so I don't think I'll be able to share it. Um, I really wish that I could get that, but I don't have it uploaded anywhere because it's so old. But I'll tell you what, I'll have that ready for the next stream that we do together. We'll have another stream together, and maybe we can talk about that. I don't want to waste time
Ah,
on it right now. But
Well,
let's.
Prime
you
Knight
can
in the
invite
chat
me
has
every
asked if
time you
this
want.
art is. Yeah, but Prime Knight has asked in the chat if this art is directly from Chris. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe he is the one who has given birth to the idea of the art, but has then gone through professional artists via commission
Yes,
in order
that is
to
correct.
give visual format to it.
Yes, he's the idea
Yeah.
man and the art, and he is the design and art director. He commissions artists to make these pieces.
Yes, and it's all everything from for my universe, which is named Demon Realms in English. In
Mhm.
French, it's called Les Royaumes Démoniaques. Well, it all came from my novels, my books. This
Excellent.
is the source material.
Well, speaking of the source material, would you like me to read about the warrior demon?
Yeah. Sorry, I interrupt you several
No,
times.
no,
I
no.
apologize.
Don't be sorry at all. No, I'm the one that wanted to segue. I was going to show you my old original art, but it's not on my work computer, sadly. But like I said, we'll do that another day on a different stream. But right now, let's focus on this warrior demon. So let's go ahead and embiggen so people at home can follow along. And I will take it from the top. Warrior demons are much more impressive and powerful than their kin, the imps, and are among the most common demonic creatures, at least they used to be, back when they could be found the world over. They hunted anything in their path and felt the irrepressible urge to kill their prey, to tear it apart, to devour its entrails. Not out of hunger, no, not out of some kind of biological need, but simply under the all encompassing force of their desire. Some are winged, some are not, but all possess strong build and great strength. Should they be equipped with any kind of tool, however remotely resembling a weapon, their fighting strength will increase it tenfold. Oops. Sorry about that for those of you following along. I didn't mean to change the. Demons have always plagued the world ever since the faraway times when they were everywhere, threatening to extinguish all lives but their own. There had been stories about these creatures that haunted humans, merfolk, elves, and even Yamars for millennia. However, since the Great War in the year zero of the dwarf calendar, they seem to have left the great continent and gathered in the desolated lands in the east where no one ever wishes to go. There are rumors spreading, saying there are demons in the underworld, although no concrete proof has ever been found. What is certain is that all known civilizations thank the heavens for not having to face these formidable foes. Even a single dwarf, even a single warrior demon is easily able to defeat 20, if not even 50 trained soldiers. They are violent monsters without morals nor mercy, who do not show any interest or ability to hold a proper conversation and spread brutality wherever they go. This does not mean they are deprived of intelligence, however. Their cunning and tactical sense has been proven more than once, beyond even the wildest nightmares of their victims. Warrior demons are the very essence of the horrors of this world. A creature that stands first silent in fury, clenching fists and claws, watching for the faintest sign of weakness to hit with a ferocity and brutality the likes of which have never been seen. The still warrior demon observes, studies, and plans for his attack, which will inevitably be the end of the prey he watches, eyes filled with hatred. A heartbeat later, at the perfect moment, he will scream with rage, hit without remorse, killing that which stands before him, punching the flesh again and again until the breath of life has all but left the battered and bloodied corpse of his victim. And here's the creature that we just read about. Again, scary, well written, well conceived. Very good. Very good stuff.
Thank you.
So, I have a quick question about this warrior demon. Is this like a species of creature that we're talking about, or is this a singular entity known as the warrior demon?
No. This is a subsection of the demon species as a whole. They are
I see.
like thousands or even millions sometimes in very specific period of times,
I see.
plaguing the world and rampaging and in orgy of destruction.
So these demons are more like the Dungeons and Dragons demons, where they're real physical things that can
Yes.
that can travel the world and they can physically interact with things and they exist in perpetuity. They're not like magical angels and demons and things
Oh,
of
no. They are more like wild animals.
gotcha.
They are very normal in a way. Like there is rabbit, there is hippopotamus, there is whatever you want, and then there is
Okay.
demons.
Okay, cool. I understand. All right. Well,
Hmm.
I definitely like what this is building up to. This is very cool. Okay. Well, the other things that I have prepared for us to look at today were I was going to
And so, just to conclude the thing, this is unfortunately the only 2 pages I have for the actual art book itself, like with description, text, layout, and everything. Because even just 2 pages like that cost a bit of money to make. And
oh, certainly.
I can
Certainly,
yeah,
yes.
imagine.
and yeah, but the book itself would be something like 80, 100 pages with every single page is just like that.
Oh, wonderful. Let me ask you: is your previous art book is it also available fully in English for people to purchase now?
No, there is only one art book, and this is the one coming in December. So there is
Oh, okay,
no art book made actually, just a
okay,
project that I'm willing to propose to the public to finance. But
okay.
I have 4 novels, like actual books, like
Yeah, that would be
storytelling books.
these. That would be these.
Yes, this is my 4 books in French. Unfortunately, only in French. There is no translation available because if you want to know, my first book was something like 500,050 character, like letter.
Hmm.
Signs, I think this correct word in English.
Yes.
For this
Yeah.
kind of this kind of books, it would be something like $10,000 to translate.
Yes, professional translation costs a
Oh.
lot of money, and
Yes.
that's one of the reasons it's difficult to find good fiction of languages that aren't native to where you are, is because creators usually don't have the money unless they get successful and a publishing company foots the bill
Yes.
or has a contract with already existing translation teams to translate the books that they publish. And so that's why it's very difficult for small creators to have their works published in multiple languages.
Yeah,
Hmm.
and unfortunately, as you said, for me, I don't have the support and the backing of a publishing house. I'm just self-published,
Well,
so I need to
hopefully
do
one day
everything
you'll
myself.
hopefully one day you will at least make the connections necessary to at least get some of your work translated to English, at least your novels,
Yeah.
because that would be wonderful. I
Yeah.
used a translation program to read some of your books, but unfortunately, using translation software, it really robs it of soul and character because
Yeah.
the use of expressive adjectives, metaphor, simile, that unfortunately gets lost in translation when it's done by software.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's why I
Quite
was
tragic.
I was very fond of the translation that Louise, that's the girl who translated the 2 pages we just read.
That's quite
Her
good.
her translation, yeah, was quite top notch to be exact, and she put the effort to preserve the style I had, the writing style I had. And yeah, since my English is kinda okay, even though not perfect, I will never translate my own books. No, would be a disaster. But yeah, she did a nice job, and yeah, I recognize my style of writing, just translated.
Okay. All right. We do have a bit of community engagement before we move on over on PayPal here, and I am very glad that we got to hear Ginger's clock. Over from YouTube here, High Speed Drifter sent us $4 on PayPal. Thank you so much, my friend. And he says the new star of The Sound of Music is an Asian woman. The anti-whites are messing with us again. I hope it massively flops and the producers become. Oh, that's a very ugly thing to say, but I will read it. He says, I hope it flops and the producers become truck stop tranny whores. That has nothing to do with what we're talking about today, but thank you for the $4 and the dark but playfully funny message. Thank you, friend. All right. While we're doing community engagement, I'll go and refresh everywhere, make sure we're not missing anyone else. And it doesn't look like we are. I think that's all the engagement we have right now. All right. So now that we have taken a look at the novels, unfortunately, I can't read them to you because I only barely understand French at all when I take my time. There's no way I could do it justice if I read it. So, with that being said, here are some pro illustrations we're going to take a look at
Yeah,
for
that's
the
the
books.
cover of the novels.
These are the covers of the novels, and I wanted us all to take a nice close look at how beautiful the artwork is for his novels. Take a look at this horrible monstrosity here. Just look at this. Isn't this just awful? Look at this.
Yeah, funny thing, the title of this book, which is the third entry, is called in English Horrors, and
Yes.
yeah,
Yes, I don't think that needs to be translated for the meaning to get across there.
This
That's
artwork is just exceptional. This is a beautiful cover for a novel. This is great.
yeah, that almost looks like something I'd expect to see out of a Warhammer artwork. It's
Yes.
top notch stuff.
Yes.
But that's
Very excellent.
that creature in the front, the thing that's taking pride of place in the foreground, that is utterly horrendous.
Oh no, be kind, Ginger. That's a real life photo of a redditor.
it's funny because it's funny because you all assume it's a bad guy.
No, I didn't make
Oh,
that
no, I
assumption.
wasn't
I did
assuming it was a
not make
bad
that
thing.
assumption.
Okay.
I was just saying it is ugly beyond comparison.
Yeah, and in French it's called le délaissé, which in English would mean something like the lefted one or left one, something like that.
Like the one
Abandoned
left
one.
The
behind, the
abandoned one?
discarded
Yeah,
one.
that's more correct, accurate. The one left behind. Yeah.
Okay. Well, this is wonderful. I'll speak to you off stream about trying to get you help with translation. But my husband is an author. He's written about 1,000 pages of fiction, and he has about another 1,000 pages that he hasn't made into a novel yet. And he's excellent with words. And he would work for very cheap if you needed someone to help you get your novels translated. He might be amenable to doing that for a minimal amount of money. But we'll talk about that offline, and I'll have to run it
Yeah,
by
of
him to
course.
see if he's willing to do that. Let's look at some of your other novel covers, though, because they're all excellent. That was my favorite, though. That's why I shared it first. But this one is called Finale. And,
Yeah, that's not a cover per se.
oh, I
It
know.
was
I wanted you to talk about it because I wanted to know
yeah,
what this was. Since it says Merci, I
yeah.
assume that this was an artwork that you commissioned as a thanks to your community who support you, perhaps.
Yeah, for the crowdfunding of the third book. And yeah, what Jayali I saw for the dwarf thing, but I can't answer to you and discuss in the live stream. But yeah, there is dwarf in my universe. There's a lot of dwarves.
I
And
like
so
dwarves.
yeah,
I
for
also like dwarves, and I especially like it when female dwarves are depicted with facial hair. I like that a lot.
yeah,
That's
she's
Right.
the at the moment of the story, she's the queen of the dwarf.
well, the
She's
queen of the
the
dwarves reminds me of my good friend Alabastard, who's with us today. So, Wheezy, if you're listening, the spirit of you speaks to me when I see this ferocious-faced redhead.
and there is a particular portrait of her in the second book, if I'm not mistaken. She's called Tlakima. And yeah, she's a character I quite like. And so to get back of the drawing itself, it was a thanking piece I'm commissioned to just thanking everyone to make the crowdfunding of my third novel just make it happen. Because I was sure that I would fail. And I didn't. So
You
yeah.
sound like my husband. That's what he says too.
Yeah, it's not I'm pessimistic, but I'm so used to failing at everything.
Well, hopefully you will not be a failure. And even if a project fails, you should always keep heart and keep going. Create the best and the most that you can and put all that you can into your art, into your work.
Yeah.
Speaking of your work, I want to look at the other novels. Okay. All right, let's go to the first one. Let's look at this one. There we go. Look at that
Wow.
beauty. Isn't that wonderful? Look at that.
You know, I'm noticing quite a strong theme of desperation and fighting against impossible evil in the artwork here. It's very
Well, it's funny you say that because on the at the back end of the book there is the synopsis and all, and I always put a quote on this thing to um, encapsulate the theme of the book itself. And for this one, it's the so-called main character called Siwen, which is the warrior on the bottom right. And his
Mhm.
quote is something like, "My mistake are all that is left."
Mm.
my
Have you
mistake is
read
all that is left.
Have
Wow.
you read the Elric of Melniboné fiction? Have you read that?
Not read it, but I'm scoured through many wiki, so I
Okay.
know a bit about it.
Uh, I don't. I'm not well read, but my husband reads to me a lot, and he tells me about different kinds of fiction. And I was just for some reason I know that the visual fluff is very different, but the feeling I got from what you just read about the quote made me think of Elric of Melniboné. Um, anyway, Siwen here, this character, is he a recurring main character through the novels?
Well, I have a bit of issue to name him a main character because it's not actually that. It's not
Okay.
entirely correct to categorize him as a main character.
Okay.
In how to say that? In practicality, maybe, but it's not like this is history. This is not history. Well, a bit, but not entirely. I'm sure you more or less know where I'm going with it. This is more a story of the world itself, like a series of events. The thing is, this is just the main catalyst of the events, but it is not only his story.
Okay, so what you're saying is that he's not the main character, but he is a prominent character who often
Yeah,
pops up in many noteworthy events.
more like most of the stuff happened through him, but it's not like
Right.
is
Okay.
the
So
main thing. Yeah, it's
he
not easy
is.
for me to explain that in English. I'm sorry.
Uh, it sounds to me like that he is a character who is cursed with the misfortune of always being in the right place at the right time.
Kind of something like that. Yes,
Well,
it's
we're
not
going to
entirely. Yeah, go
go
ahead,
ahead.
please.
I was just going to say we're going to move back to this Redditor, and there's something that I want to say because
Reddit.
because we have some fun back and forth in the chat that I would like to get to. First of all, over on Odyssey, Merlin from the Cabal decided to chime in whenever I said what I said about the dwarves. He said, Yiz likes the fantasy women having beards because she does. I most certainly do not have a beard, thank you very much. I only have a few tiny whiskers. I have never had a beard, thank you
Whiskers.
very much. All right. But there are some things I want to read about this featured character here. Bored Troll over on D Live says, "Take a good look here. This creature is fully vaccinated."
35 doses,
Yes,
counting.
yeah. He's had 8 Gorillion boosters.
Brilliant. Oh no, no! Did you hear the story of that guy who hijacked a shipment of COVID jabs, and he was going to insist on taking all of them so that he'd never have to worry about COVID.
Is this him?
This is the result, I bet.
Oh, goodness gracious. We have one more funny thing to read about this picture, and then we'll move on. Kizza GT, good old Kizza over on Entropy says, that creature, let's see, that creature is something you would see in a horror movie about Planned Parenthood.
You know,
It's
during
funny, and I really found it funny, so I don't took it take it the wrong way. No problem with that. But it's just funny because I know the story of the character, and you are all awful people. But yeah, nice jokes. Like, nice
Okay,
jokes.
okay. Well, let's move on to the second one.
When
now.
you will read the story, we will say, "I'm a dickhead."
I know.
Just
I,
just before we
I
do
know
move
that
on,
character's not a
there was
villain. I
something
know
that I
that.
wanted to say.
Oh, go ahead, Ginger. Sorry.
It's not even
So,
a good guy too. It's just, well, anyway. Go ahead. Sorry.
yeah, the point earlier that was made about the female dwarf having a beard. There's a particular fantasy trope that I've always been a fan of when it comes to dwarves, and that is specifically the idea of female dwarves often not having beards, but the ones that do being considered like uh, prophetic entities of ultimate beauty, and that female
Ooh,
dwarves with beards are like naturally gifted chosen ones of the race who are
ooh.
destined to lead their people to greatness. That's a
Um,
particular
Sort of
trope
like
that I
how
like.
in Dragon Age Origins they had the paragons of the dwarves. Maybe like a female dwarf born with the blessing of sideburns and beard would be maybe a good candidate. Like she was marked by the paragons to be a champion, something like that.
Yes,
uh,
exactly like that.
I've sent to you years, and I will have a third one, two drawing, well, with a third coming,
Oh,
of
certainly.
dwarven characters. So you
Okay.
will see how the dwarves are in my universe, because apparently dwarves are serious business here. So yeah.
I'm going to pop these open right now, and we'll have us a look. Give me just a moment to get all these open here. Here's one. This is good. Ooh.
Yeah, this is
That's excellent.
that's an ancient king, sorry, in the story of my universe.
Uh-huh.
Not to spoil anything, but just give a tidbits of information. Is more or less the reason why there is a year 0 in their calendar. So yeah, I will not say anything else. And you can see some reflection in the gems is holding. And if you are smart, you could identify the giant spider we spoke earlier.
Indeed.
Yes,
Indeed. I see its eyes. Very good. All right, let's
that
move
is
on.
the look of ultimate avarice on a man's face right there.
Mm-hmm. Like I would imagine that the like from the Lord of the Rings, the rings made for dwarfs. If maybe this was a dwarf king that had avarice, greed, and malice for those wealthier than he, dialed up to 11 in his soul. That kind of look.
Hmm.
All right,
You
moving on.
you approach the thing.
Okay, moving on. Let's look at this one next here. We have.
So this is the queen dwarf
Ooh, I like her. She's cool.
from the current timeline when the event take places.
I definitely
So
like this one. This is cool.
is this the queen sitting atop a throne, or is this in a more casual setting?
No, it's like the tippy top of of a tower or something like that, where her father, who was the previous king, but not her actual father, like a foster father, like she was adopted. And
Right.
the previous king said, "Yeah, my adoptive daughter will be queen, not my actual son, who are bastards. So fuck off and listen to her." And of course, this was not taken very nicely by the court and all of that. So there is a bit of jazz about this event, but she is very fond of astronomy because her foster father teach her many things about astronomy. For example, learn to read the stars and not being lost in the woods or something like that.
Ooh,
So she
Very
likes
good,
to
very good.
observe things, and yeah.
very cool.
And
Very cool.
on that point, by the way, in your setting, are the stars like they are in real life? They are just simple dots of burning plasma,
Yes,
incalculable distance away.
yes.
Right. Okay. That's
More
interesting.
more like, the Aztecs and Mayan science. They read the star and fool people with their knowledge, so they could predict eclipses. They could predict the movement of celestial bodies and stuff like that.
Interesting.
All right, shall we move on to the last picture now?
Please do.
All right, here we go. This is what I'm talking about. Look at this shit. Rawr.
I see. This is the same queen again.
Yes, in the thick of it.
I like it. Very
This
badass.
is more like the final fight for the world, something like that, where
Cool.
everything is at hand. So she used a big of fucking armor to chop off at it.
And the structure that I'm going to presume is some kind of fortress in the background
Mobile
is
fortress.
a mobile fortress. Very nice, very nice.
That's fucking awesome.
Is
That's like, that does remind me of 40K.
yeah, is that something that that she was sat at the top of in the previous
No,
image, or
no,
right?
this is
Okay.
not the same places. In the story, she used like you could say something like a flare, or a signal to at the very the outside of the. Let me start again. At the other side of the continent or something like that, she used a flare or some signals to say to her ally that yeah, we are going to war. So the fortress when moving, and they meet up at some point, and this is like the final stand or something with some elven
Very nice.
allies
before
against
we
the
move-
human.
Allies with the elves.
Yes.
Suddenly, I'm not too fan of these dwarves.
Hey, desperate times call for desperate measures. All right. Before we move away from this picture, we have some playful back and forth from Kizza over on Entropy here.
Yeah, apparently you have a lot of fun.
Kizza says, all of this talk of female dwarves with beards. This sounds like the trans lobby propaganda for manlick neckbeards trying to be cool and accepted. That's pretty funny. He
Yes,
also goes on.
Ivan, I'm a
Oh, go
smash
ahead. Sorry.
face. No, it's
Go-
just a funny reference to a metal band. I'm a smash face. Yes, it
Oh.
is.
Kizza also says, actually thinking about it, if this whole thing is a sly dig to say, is this whole thing a sly dig to say women from Scotland are ugly? Oh, behave, Kizza, behave.
Look, as somebody who
I happen to have a deep
lives
love
in
and appreciation for the
Scotland and has lived
hideously
in
ugly women of Scotland.
I was just going to say, as somebody who lives in Scotland currently and has done so for the last several months, no comment.
It's funny because at one point there is a bit of sexual tension, you can say, between Siwen and the Queen Dwarf.
Oh, that'll be fun. I look forward to reading those when they're translated. I can't wait. It'll be great. All right. Alabastard in chat says, us Irish broads ain't much better.
LGBTQDWB, the D is for dwarf with beard.
That's pretty good, High Speed Drifter. That's a good one. All right. Let's move on now. Let's go to, let's see what we have left here. This is the page I was going to read, but unfortunately I couldn't find a translation that was worthy to be read because the software that I used, it let me read it, and in my creative mind I could understand how this would be good, like the art pages were written, but the translation software was nowhere near good enough to read on stream, sadly. So we're going to skip that today.
Yeah, and the very first sentence I spotted the major flaw.
Let's go back to the pictures now then. And I would like to look at the other novel covers. Let's go to number 2. Okay. Here's number 2. This is novel number 2. Look at that. Now that is some sweet artwork.
Yeah, and so starting from this book, so the second one, and until very recently, this was done all by the same guy, a French man who's named Thomas, who lives in Germany.
Okay.
So he did everything since 2019.
Okay. Anything else you want to talk about this novel before we move on to the other one?
No, just the title, which I was very proud of. The title of this book is called The Fire of the Living.
Ooh, that is good. That's a good title.
And the quotation on this book was something like, I did all I could.
I did all I could. Beautiful. Okay. And here's the last one. I mean, not the last, but it's the last picture. This is book 3. This is book
4.
4. My bad, 4.
Yeah.
Excuse me.
Yeah, and a quick note about that. For this universe, no, let me start again. For this book series, I would need something like between 7 and 9 books, depending on what happened and all.
Okay.
And even with the end of this novelty, I will never stop writing on Demon Realms. It will be the work of my life, and I will pass before I could say everything there is to
Well,
tell.
that's wonderful. This is the kind of thing that if I like and get into, I would make a role playing game adaptation setting book for.
I would love to have a RPG game of my universe, but there is some stuff to consider and work on before having an actual rule system.
Oh, of course, of course. This will be years down the road, but
Yeah.
if this continues to grow and you get backing and financing and you continue to be able to create like this, I would love to have a good English translation so I can read and understand this setting. And if I like it enough, I would love to make a role playing setting for you.
If you are willing, and we can find someone to translate, even not entirely perfectly, at least the first novel, we can maybe try something to make that happen. Because
Cool.
if you like my stuff and you like RPG as much as I do, well, we can do something even if the translation are not perfect.
Certainly.
Well,
And since
I
I'm
can.
passionate about creating role playing stuff, the mechanics, I understand a wide range of role playing game mechanics. And if
Mm.
I created for you, we could run a Kickstarter, and for every stretch goal, I could create the setting book for yet another mechanic system. Like we could do D10, we could do GURPS, we could do 5th Ed, Pathfinder 1 and 2. We could do the Savage World system. We could do Fate. Like I understand and am well versed in many different role playing mechanics, different mechanic systems, and it would be easy for with my knowledge of how all the mechanics work and how they're supposed to balance back and forth. I could easily create all of that for us, and that would be
Yeah,
something that I'd be willing to do.
I would be very down to that. Yeah, certainly.
And
I would be interested.
Ardent Party brings up a good idea too. Our friend who used to go by Carnal Conservative before the
Oh yeah,
anti-whites
yeah, yeah.
before the anti-whites destroyed his channel and his work. He goes by what is it that I can't remember his name. It's Shade something.
Yeah, Shade Master or
Shade Master. That's
Shade
it.
of Dominion.
Shade of Dominion. Yeah, that's it. That's his
I
role playing
I,
setting.
I
He
interview
also
him.
is like me. He understands and appreciates mechanics and role playing and fantasy tropes. He would be someone good to bring in on this project if he could make the time. But
Yeah,
but he's a Mormon and has a big family, and he's very invested in his family, so he might not be able to spend the time like I could, unsullied as I am.
I
By the way,
interviewed him and he was
I'd
very
also
nice.
be happy to help out with this project if it ends up going through. So
Oh,
keep me in the loop.
Yeah, we
I
invite
would
everyone.
commission Ginger to be the voice of the project because his voice is legendary.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you.
All right. Well, that is the last novel cover. Is there anything else on your? Let me go back to it here. On this, on anything on the pages that you've shared that you want me to take a look at? I'll
You
go ahead and
can.
pop this open real quick because I definitely want people to see the artwork of the Kickstarter. It's absolutely gorgeous. I love this.
Yeah, that's the tree Tagil and the sanctuary of the Fae. Yeah, you can also show other monster there is on this special page. There's like a giant whale thing and
Oh, I love
an
it.
ugly
Yes.
bastard.
I love it. Look at that.
Yeah, so
Isn't that cool?
this is something named. I'm not entirely sure on the translation, but in my universe, in French, it's called like killing whale or killer whale. But I don't want people to associate this thing like an orca, because I think in English
Right.
it's also called a killer whale, and so I will have to check with my translator about that. But yeah, it's a giant whale that eat things.
Okay.
And this is the most common giant apex predator on the ocean of my universe.
I like the word Leviathan. That's a good word to use for something.
Yeah,
like this.
that's the drawer. This is a piece from my new artist. So yeah, as you can see, I don't settle with second best. And if I work with
Certainly
someone,
not.
if I work with someone, I don't want to be a mediocre thing. I want top quality, as I say. And yeah, my third and new artist is up to snuff with the previous one.
Oh,
Well,
absolutely,
a piece
absolutely.
of
All
advice
the artwork
regarding
is
a
great.
translated name. A piece of advice regarding translating the name here. You could go with giving it multiple different names that
Yeah.
it could be referred to as in the setting. Like for example, you could call it the maw of the ocean, or perhaps the something like the Leviathan of Destruction, or something to that effect.
Cool.
The giant fuck off fish. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Excuse me. Okay. Is there anything else that we have missed that we want to take a
Yeah,
look at, or
the
anything
last
else you?
one.
Okay.
The ugly bastard.
All right. Ooh, look at this. Look at this
Yeah.
hideous monster. Look at this thing.
This is one of my favorite.
Oh, it's very
Good
good. Look at
God.
this.
Yeah, it has a fantasy name, so it's called Eurbidicus. It's like an amphibian creature that lure their prey with their skull-shaped like thing, who looks like a human skull, and they submerge themselves just barely enough to just show a bit of the skull, and humans and their prey come check and nap.
This out of all the things we've looked at today, this specifically gives me Lovecraft vibes.
Yes.
Were you inspired by Lovecraft horrors for this thing?
Yes. Well, not actually the detective kind of story of Lovecraft, more like the founding mythos of the ancient gods and all that. And the
Yes, that's what I
monsters
meant.
and
Yes, a mythos
yeah.
creature. Yes, a mythos creature.
Yeah, because in the very first pages of the first book, there is like something called the prologue and Genesis. So this explained the creation of the universe and the world and all of that. So right off the bat, you are plunged into the founding mythos of my universe. I'm not just starting with, oh, there is a Strider guy thing with beard who look for shiny rock and magic things. And no. I first wanted to give the vibe of, this is giant fuck off world. You will be lost. That's okay. Just give it time. You will understand.
Sounds good. Sounds good. You're definitely a good setting creator, and from what little I was able to glean from the Google Translate that I read of your book, I think you're a good writer too. But until I have a proper English translation, I can't properly judge you and critique you.
Yeah, I know. I know.
All right. Well, that is, I think, the end of all the things we had prepared to look at today. So,
I've sent you another thing in Discord DM, the figurine.
Oh, right. I meant, you're right. I had that earlier, but I forgot about it. Here we go. Why don't you tell us about this?
Well, this is the demon that is on the first book, on the cover of the first book. So it's the primordial demon of suffering called Atmec, and this is a miniature, a 3D sculpt that would be 3D printed and hand painted, which is 35 centimeter high, something like 12 inches, I think. I'm not sure about the translation in
Okay.
imperial units, but yeah, it's 35 centimeters high and something like 15 or between 15 and 20 in depth. And yeah, this will be on the Kickstarter.
Awesome.
I wanted a very, a star piece of merchandising,
yes.
And I wanted a miniature.
Well,
and
I certainly
also
hope that you
this
can hit your
is
goal,
cost a
because
lot.
I would love your project and your fame to grow and you to get more money and more followers.
Yeah, me too. Hashtag me too.
Hashtag me too. All right. Well, since we are now in the home stretch, we have come to the end of the stream. Is there anything that you would like to leave us with? Any ideas? Anything you'd like to say or talk about? I'm going to go ahead and pop your Kickstarter up here just to further showcase that while we wrap things up here.
And if I may
speaking
ask
of, yes.
for sharing the link in the comment section, please.
Oh, of course.
Because
Yes.
I wasn't able to.
For those of you who are interested in following his work, Both his channel and the current Kickstarter that will be launching soon are in the description of this video. Wherever
Okay.
you're listening to it, you should be able to find it easily. And also, give me just a moment, and I will directly share the link in chat for those of you who want to pop it open and bookmark it now. There it goes. There's the Kickstarter link. I'm putting it in all the chats now. There it goes. Okay. Okay, your Kickstarter link has been shared. People can click on it and follow it. Bookmark it. It goes
Thank
live
you.
very soon, and it may
Yeah,
not
the
come to
feel.
fruition for quite some time, but definitely back it and support it. I'm definitely going to, and I recommend
Yeah,
those of you
it
do as well.
starts on the 15th of December and go for like 2 months, a bit less of 2 months.
Awesome.
And for final words, well, first off, I'm very thankful for you to having me on your channel. Seriously, it means a lot to me, and all of your praise and kind words. I'm not the best to react to such things, but yeah, it really warms my heart to see a bit of appreciation, because I should have. It's not something I have in numerous stock.
Well, like we talked about offline, or I'm sorry, like we talked about off stream, I encourage people who have a deep love and appreciation of fantasy and fiction and mythical inspiration and dark horror and all of the beautiful themes of fiction that inspire us to be great and to be heroes. That's a very important thing. And like we talked about at the first of the stream, that modern fiction, it's just empty. It's hollow. It doesn't have
Yes.
the strength of character and the beauty and the depth that proper fiction has. And so that's one of the reasons I wanted to highlight you and bring you on, is because you are against the same kind of cultural spiritual cancer that I'm against, and that's definitely evident in your work.
Well, yeah, I'm not a political person per se,
Oh, I
but
know, I know.
if there is something I truly despise and disdain and more or less hate, it's the cancel culture thing, and wanted to shred the freedom of expression and all that. As an artist, is not compatible with everything artists do. So yeah, no,
Absolutely,
thank you.
absolutely.
Go away.
Well,
Go
well,
to
you're
North
very
Korea,
welcome.
please.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. All right. Well, let's go back to normal view here. There we go. Well, Christopher Evrard, thank you so much for being here with me today. Thank you for sharing your work with me. Ginger, thank you so much for being here with me. You have been a most exquisite co-host, and I look forward to doing this with you again one day. Hopefully, you'll be amenable to maybe doing a stream with Christopher again in the future.
Oh, absolutely. I've really enjoyed myself here. I'd be more than happy to lend my voice to this kind of thing in future if you ever decide to do a follow up stream with Christopher or anybody else who may be thinking about getting started with their own projects.
All right, sounds good. Thank you to High Speed Drifter and Kizza GT for giving the financial support that they did through their comments. And thank you to all of you who participated. And please share this guy's links. Get him known to the English speaking community and let the Anglosphere sort out getting his translations funded. And hopefully soon we can even have something bigger and better to work on together. Maybe a community project, maybe a community site, and start building around his fictitious world, because it's sweet and it already has awesome artwork. And let's just help it grow. So with that being said, we're going to go ahead and wrap things up. We're bang on the hour and a half mark where I like to wrap things up. So with that being said, Christopher, we will speak again soon. We will definitely stream again soon. And you can find all of us talking and socializing in the Cabal. And last but not least, I will shill the Cabal. I have the link ready to go. This is where I
Excellent.
like to meet and talk to other internet autists about all different kinds of things. The Cabal is a Discord community under the content creator Uzulu, who was unfairly and illegally purged from YouTube by the anti-whites who like to squash truth. And he has not given up, and he still streams regularly. And we have a great community building in the Cabal. So please come join that. Help us make it even better. With that being said, I hope you all have a wonderful Thanksgiving. Speak truth, compassion, be good to your family and loved ones, even if they are politically different from you, even if maybe they have strong disagreements with you about a certain disease that we were lied to about recently, remember, plant seeds that you can cultivate and nurture over time with your close loved ones and family. Don't burn bridges and be a jerk and yell at them. Be kind to them and plant seeds that will grow into something better that you can nurture and build with, because you can't build if you burn it all down. And with that being said, happy Thanksgiving, everyone. I'll see you next Monday night for Discordant Dragons. And over on Don the Pleb's channel this Sunday on Rumble, I'll be having a long stream with him. And with that being said, thank you, Ginger. Thank you, Christopher. And thank all of you who support the channel and help me grow. With that being said, good night.